Guys, welcome back to my channel. So you are gonna cut and measure the material of your choice. Then you're gonna get your glue gun, as you're about to see me doing here. Quick side note, I already made my chokers, but these are just some demonstration of what I did. Yes, so you're gonna lay a thin layer of glue on both sides. This is just to conceal the raw edges. Fold them over and make sure to press on them. Yes, so you're basically gonna be repeating the same steps but on the flip side of the choker, meaning if you applied your glue on the right side, you're just gonna turn it on the left side and apply the glue going backwards. Make sure to apply some pressure on it because this is just to make sure everything is sealed. Remember that you're using fabric or trimmings and you really don't want it unraveling as you're showing off your choker. Now you can use Velcro, you can use hook and eye, you can use press hook, you can use clasp, but I am basically balling on a budget, so I use Velcro as that was the cheapest alternative I could have found and it looked quite professional. So you're gonna put a Velcro on the side that you turn in and then you're gonna flip it over and repeat the same step, but this is just common grounds. Don't put the glue on the part that is supposed to be holding on to the other part of the Velcro. You're going to be putting it on the bottom part of the Velcro and apply it to your trimming. Now it should basically be looking something like this. Now this is the reason why you did the whole flip situation pasting, so that it would cover and look more unique rather than, you know, pasting it together and leaving a whole bump. So it should look something like this. Now for choker number 2, I basically cut my trim in half because my neck is very long and I wanted mine to be a bit broad. So you're gonna take your glue and you're gonna put it to the edge of the trimming. Now the closer to the edge you get, the more closer to the edge you get, it will be a lot better for you. Quick side note, just remember to put the right side facing down, right? So you're going to take the other part of the trimming and put it as close as possible to the glue, trying to avoid it from overlapping onto the other part of the trimming. And just press it, you know, just seal in the glue. Flip it over, do the same thing, press it. And then you're just going to take your scissors and trim off the excess from the ends. This is just to make it, you know, look a bit neat and tidy put together. Now you're basically going to repeat the same step as you did with the first choker as it relates to the Velcro. I am using as a very broad piece of Velcro, so I did my trimming up so that it can fit as close to its shape as the choker as possible, if you guys understand what I mean, you know, so that it won't have any overlapping or anything extra standing out or whatsoever. Then you're gonna put one on one side and basically flip it to the other side and repeat the same steps. Now the finished product is basically gonna look something like this, or it should look something like this. Like I said before, this is the whole concept of the whole flip system. This is how it should be looking. Now for choker number 3, This is, to me, this is basically the most simple one. You're just gonna measure and cut your trimmings and basically take your Velcro like you did basically the same thing that you did in the two previous chokers, but you're just not going to put your Velcro in portrait. You're going to put it in landscape position, meaning you're not going to put it upright, but you're going to put it like in a laying down position, because you want as most coverage of on the Velcro onto the trimming, yes, as possible, because you don't want it to be, you don't want to apply too little Velcro and it wouldn't be as sturdy as possible. So you're just basically gonna do that and just repeat the same step as before. Now the finish, sorry, why can't I speak? The finished product is supposed to basically be gone, it would be looking something like this. Don't worry about the glue showing to the back, because that's the reason for using white Velcro, right? Now for choker number 4, you're gonna gather your material, your fabric rather, and you're gonna, well, I didn't use tape measure and all of that, because this was just a piece of fabric that I had lying around and I just wanted to play around with it, since I noticed, you know, the whole trending cloth, or I should say fabric choker, was in the air. Nevertheless, I basically used the previous choker, the second choker that I used, to guesstimate the length. Note I said guesstimate because I really don't like measuring. Yes, I just use that to guesstimate the length of which I want my choker to be. Now, after cutting your material, I am using bonding paper. Later on, I'm going to explain why I chose bonding paper. You don't have to use bonding paper, but this is just going to make it look a whole lot better. Now with the bonding paper, there is a shiny side and then there's just basically like a matte looking side. You're going to put your fabric onto the shiny looking side, right? And you're going to make sure you spread it out nicely. Then you're going to use your good old dandy iron, turn it up to the most heat as possible. And you're going to iron your fabric onto the bonding sheet. Just try and avoid the iron touching the bonding sheet itself, because the bonding sheet has a kind of like a gooey substance and it's gonna stick to the iron. So just make sure you put a little force onto the iron and keep your iron onto the fabric. Now for the next step, you're just gonna cut the excess bonding sheet away from the material. Don't remove the bonding sheet from under the material as yet, right? The one that's stuck to the material, don't remove it as yet. You're just gonna cut off or cut around the material, removing the extra bonding sheet. Now after doing this, you're basically gonna flip it on the side with the bonding sheet facing up and repeat the same step, you know, just to reinforce the bonding sheet, the residue from the bonding sheet to stick to the fabric. Now, why I chose bonding sheet is basically because I wanted my choker to be very stiff, right? I don't want my choker to be, rolling up. Remember, it's fabric you're using, and fabric is soft. If you're not using stiff fabric, it's soft and it will roll. So to avoid that, I use the bonding sheet, and that's gonna have my choker looking very, like factory made. Safe to say, it's gonna be stiff and it's gonna be sitting on my neck quite comfortably. Now, after doing that, you're just gonna, do a little pressing around, and then you're gonna remove the bonding sheet carefully from the material. Remember earlier I mentioned the bonding sheet has a shiny side and a matte side. Well, you see, the shiny side is basically transferred onto the back of the material. Yes, that's the gooey part. Now, for the a bit technical part, you're just basically gonna fold the choker. This is to conceal the raw edges and let it look a bit more put together. You're gonna fold the choker, fold the fabric, to conceal raw edges on both sides. Now, I basically did some playing around with mine because I just wanted to see how best I could have got it to look real put together. So that's basically it. Now, to conceal the ends of the choker, I'm just basically gonna take my glue gun and I'm gonna apply just a thin layer of glue to both ends and turn it inwards. To conceal the edges, I'm gonna do it, basically repeat the same steps on both sides and make sure I press them in together. Now, you notice that little opening, I left that there because I wanted to make sure my ends were in before I sealed that little opening. Now, after your first edge is sealed, you're just gonna go ahead and put some glue on the opening, but you're gonna leave like enough space that you could get to do the same thing on the other end. So go ahead and do that and meet me back. You're just gonna make sure that each point is neatly in place before you do the final sealing up. And once that is together neatly, you're gonna put your glue and do your final sealing up. Now this is how the choker should be shaping up for now. You're gonna do your little rubbing together. Then I'm gonna take the same Velcro and I'm gonna cut a thin layer, a seam doing here, and I'm gonna apply the Velcro same way as I did the first two chokers. I'm not gonna put it lying down like I did the third choker, but I'm gonna put it standing. That's basically it. So it should look something like this. It should be going like this. And yes, the same flip method applies to this choker also. So go ahead and do your little patting to seal in the Velcro. Make sure that it's well stuck onto the fabric. Now the finished product should be looking something like this. You know, this is how it should be looking. If you don't want it as broad as mine, you can go and trim it down.